be seen through glass. Now, usually at this time of year, myself and the other UK automotive YouTubers would be setting off into Europe to kickstart what we fondly call road trip season. I'd probably be doing my big Q&A, my cross-car Q&A as we journeyed through France, probably towards Monaco or Italy. It's been a while since we've done a big sort of group road trip, but we actually had a lot of plans to do one in 2020, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, I'm not really sure that's going to be happening, which is, well, actually really sad, actually a bit depressing. But maybe sitting here, if I just imagine a road trip, maybe it will happen. Guys, I'm not really sure this is the same as actually being on a road trip. Shall we just do the Q&A?
Yeah, let's do it. It's time to move on.
Yeah, okay. Now, in true sort of YouTuber road trip form, there was sort of somebody who was missing from that early driving content. Someone who tends to join the road trips in a car that doesn't belong to him or in the passenger seat of one of our cars. It is, of course, Monsieur Seb Delaney.
Hello. It's good to be here. I'm interested to see how this goes. But,
it's quite appropriate.
I don't know what I missed.
It's quite appropriate that you're actually already in Monaco, because that's usually what happens during these road trips.
I know, it feels weird being here and us all talking, but not all being in Monaco. I'm sat in the living room we've had so many memories in, but yeah, no, this is pretty cool.
As long as you're not in a club, because that's kind of half where I was expecting to find you, even despite lockdown. I kind of thought you would be in somewhere just acting inappropriately.
I've stayed away, don't worry, Sam.
Okay, well look guys, because the driving wasn't really working out, mainly because of my internet connection and the fact that it's not real driving, let's crack into the Q&As, and people have submitted some pretty good questions, I think. I'm not going to read out Instagram handles because I just can't, but we're kicking things off with the best and worst times for fans to say hi. And I actually know Tim's answer to this, so I'm going to start with Tim. Tim, when are the best and worst times for a viewer to come up and say hi?
Well, shall we just jump straight at the worst first? The worst is definitely when you're mid-holding a video camera in the middle of a clip that is going to go in your video, and somebody taps you on the shoulder and asks a question. And I mean, no disrespect, but you're kind of filming a video. I'm sure you can all relate to that as well. Best times, I mean, any time, right? You're at a car event, wandering around, chilling. Can't go wrong there.
Paul, do you remember when you had a panic attack because someone came up to you in the cinema once and then you vowed to never go to the cinema again?
It wasn't that someone came up to me. It was all I got was a photo of the back of my head saying, "I'm sitting behind you." Slightly different.
That's right. And Seb, I also have definite recollections of you, again, being in a club. There seems to be a theme going on here. And people go over, actually, no, somebody asked me if I was Seb Delaney. That's what happened. It wasn't even you.
No, I think my worst one was actually with Paul. I don't know if you remember this, Paul. Where there was a fright because some people, basically we thought there was a shooting in Cannes, so everyone was running through the street, everyone had abandoned their cars, people had picked up their babies and were running, and all of a sudden as there's this panic, someone just stops and goes, "Paul Wallace," and asks him for a selfie as everyone was running away from what they thought was a shooting in public. And we were very surprised, but you took the selfie, Paul, and then we kept on running. But that's probably the worst one,
Never
the weirdest
turn
one.
a fan down, isn't that right, James?
Yeah, man. I think I don't know if it's the good or bad time, but I'm always the most caught off guard when it's not at a car event or in a car scenario. Like if you're just in the shops, you know, and you're in the middle of picking out some chicken from the poultry aisle, and someone goes, "Hey, you're that dude off YouTube, right?"
James, do you ever get, I feel like James must get like other people. Do you get like, "Hey, are you Jake Gyllenhaal?" Or like something?
Yeah. There was a stage, I remember there was a stage when I was sort of early days of YouTube. My hair was a little bit longer and my beard was a little bit thicker. And it was at the same time that Bradley Cooper had a similar thing going on. and he attended Wimbledon. And I had like multiple people screenshot him in the crowd and go, "Oh, I spotted you in the crowd."
But it could be worse. It could be worse, James. Bradley Cooper. At least
With
you're
his
getting compared to Bradley
supermodel
Cooper.
wife.
Okay, moving on then. I think this is the question that so many people asked, and it's the question that we probably all asked each other. Where's the first place we're going to go the minute that lockdown is officially over? This is behind us and we're told that it's safe to go out and do stuff. Where are we going to go and with what car? I don't know who to put that to first, to be honest. I just kind of asked that question as like a general, guys?
Is this as a group or individually?
You started with Tim, so let's start with Tim.
Fair enough. So, like all of us, I had a whole load of plans that haven't ended up happening as intended. So my intention, depending, because I think we're going to have, the UK will open before we can go to Europe, before we can go to the rest of the world, is to basically go back over the plans I did have and try and squeeze it in, just go. So I had one big plan to take 6 cars over to the Nürburgring and a bunch of stuff. So the day I can do that, I'm just going to the garage, grabbing cars and going.
6 cars to the Nürburgring. Yeah, same. Me
bad.
too. I was going to take 6 cars to the Nürburgring. Okay, Paul, how about you? Where's the first place you're going to go apart from to the gym?
Joe, whilst Tim was answering that question, I was racking my brains because obviously the first place that I'm going to go is down to Barkaways to get my Murcielago because it has literally been ready since the beginning of lockdown. So definitely doing that. But at the same time, yeah, I think just purely because there have been quite a lot of plans that have been postponed, it's just going to be hitting the road. And I really want to go and do the North Coast 500 because, yeah, if we end lockdown but can't go abroad, then the North Coast 500 to me seems the most logical way of releasing all of this build-up of just the urge to drive.
I am 100% coming with you.
Yeah, North Coast 500. I mean, surely that's the next YouTuber road trip is North Coast 500.
That's what it is then. You've heard it here first.
We just so Seb, just don't go to the club as your first trip. Instead, come here and go to the North Coast 500 with us.
Can I guess where Seb's going to go? Can I guess where Seb's going to go? The car wash. that's all he's done since he's been down in Monaco.
It's true. No, what I'm gonna do is my R8's been getting ready to have it serviced. It's gonna get wrapped and everything, and then I'm moving out of London, and so I'm gonna drive it down either to Geneva or Monaco as soon as I'm allowed back into the UK. I'm gonna go pick it up to be able to drive it back down here because I'm not gonna have an apartment in London anymore.
Well, I mean, I have to say, count me in for that trip as well.
Yeah, come.
Great.
Always welcome.
We've answered the question that everyone's been asking, when's the next road trip? There were two. We're here to please. Moving on, I really like this, and James, you're going to have to answer this one last, but someone's asked what your son's first car will be. So I actually think this is genius, and I'm going to go with the Koenigsegg Gemera. I think will be the perfect first car. Considering by that point it probably just arrived, given how long you keep saying it's going to take until it actually turns up on your driveway. But I think what a cool car for him to turn up to school in. But Seb, what do you think? You're a man who's recently had his first car just 6 months ago. What do you think James's son's first car should be?
James's son's first car. I mean, I think there needs to be, well, I would say Porsche because of the Walker name and all of that going on. But I think that would be extreme. I think the perfect first car is something fun that you can take your friends in, that's not too expensive, that they can kind of get a few fun little thrills out of, like a Polo or something like that. A little sort of like 2010 Polo. That's a serious answer, but I think
That's a desperately boring answer.
Confused.
Was this some like consumer advice?
Oh, Polo. All right, mate. Tim, I trust you to also give some quite useful consumer advice. What would your shout be?
Hold on a minute, before we move anywhere. A 2010 Polo, when my son can drive, will be 29 years old.
Also, Seb, do you have a 2010 Polo you're trying to sell? Like, that's such a specific car.
Seb, are you talking about the 1.2 petrol or are you talking about the 1.4 diesel?
diesel
let's say
still exists.
petrol, because we're thinking about the future. No, the reason I chose it is because that's what I was always promised would potentially be my first car, so that's why it's the first that came into mind.
When you bought a Scuderia
if my parents got
instead.
me a car, it was going to be a Polo.
So go on, back to Tim. Tim, what would your shout be for James?
I was going to be very boring and serious. Am I answering for like my own kid when I have one in the future, or for James's?
For James's.
Well, I suppose it's the same. It would be the same either way. I think I, like probably all of us, learned to drive in a very non-powerful, easy to repair should anything happen hatchback, and I would go along the same lines. Because let's face it, when you're 17 and 18, you have no idea what you're doing. No idea.
Yes, Tim.
So
What about a
safety.
schmini-me?
But I would go with something that's not 29 years old. I would go with something with the latest modern safety. You know, like a nearly new something.
There you go. Yeah.
That would be advisable. I'm not going to ask Paul because it'll be a Lamborghini. So let's move on.
I had a very sensible answer. I was taking depreciation into consideration. Was going to go McLaren because there'd be about
£2 by then.
Speaking of your disastrous taste in Lamborghinis, this is a follow-up question to that, which is who has the worst taste in cars? And so Seb, I'm coming to you first because you've kind of been in and around all of our cars for so long. Who has the worst taste in cars? Because I think maybe you do. But anyway, let's come back to that.
it's going to be me, isn't it? Everyone's going to say me.
Let the man speak. Let the man speak. Monsieur Delaney.
In being the cars that I would own, probably in current lineup, it would probably be Sam. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry, Sam.
When you got in that Mini
I'll just leave
Clubman,
it
you
at
were like, this is a cool car.
No, but I think, honestly, everyone's got, I think you've all got sick cars, so I don't think it's a bad lineup, it's just not the one I would pick
Backtracking.
right
Put the
now.
spade down, bro. You're digging a deep hole there.
The best thing
If I could have the
Zoom is
keys
you
to any
can
one
kick
of
people
your
out.
cars.
But anyway, let's move on. Paul, who do you think's got the worst taste in cars?
Absolutely you. Without a shadow of a doubt. Sam, you've had a 4C and a 911T.
Yeah?
I mean,
Serve
the
the
power to
purpose.
weight of your 911T with that roof box is like minus.
Okay,
And the extra
Mr.
drag.
My Murcielago's still in bits at Barkaways.
My car is fully ready for the road.
Well, to give everyone else a break, I'm going to turn my focus on Tim, because I think, Tim, you've got fantastic cars, but awful taste in spec. My personal opinion.
You have some cars in some bright colours. What's wrong with that?
Hey, it's not about bright. I don't know what it is.
I'm going to stand up for Shmee with his Iron Man Spec 4 GT. It's a great taste.
Fair.
Well, I've got a controversial one in that Paul starts off with great cars and then ruins them very quickly.
Agreed. Totally agreed. That's so right.
I've got the worst taste in mods then.
The worst taste in mods. Okay, well, the next question was going to be a bit cruel because I think we would all say the same thing. It was, which of the OG YouTubers do you find most annoying on a road trip? So let's move on because we all like Seb. Anyway. It's only because I miss you, mate.
Brutal.
It's only because I miss you.
Brutal, yeah.
Now, this one I quite
Well,
like.
I've just
One of the
arrived.
cars we most regret selling. So, James, I want to come to you first on this. You've churned through a few on YouTube over the years, but also prior to YouTube, and apart from the Scud you crashed, what was the car that you most regret selling?
I've got two actually. One wasn't a YouTube car. Before YouTube, I had a BMW 1M. And I really liked that car, and I sold that car, which is a real shame because I just missed it so much. But I remember putting 25,000 miles on the car and getting the same money back that I paid for it, which was really good. And then the second one was the Red Speciale, because I just had some monumental trips with that. Flew it to Dubai. And my best man drove it at my wedding, and it had all these memories attached to it. And then for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to sell it.
I don't need that thing.
those two
The
cars.
brakes squeak.
The brake squeak, yeah, that was about it really. Great car.
Tim, how about you? You've definitely been through a fair few cars. Anything that you kind of regret getting rid of?
Well, I think the main thing is, like James just said, and probably a little bit learning from that lesson. Something like the Ford GT I'll never sell now because of the memories I have with it. And that's generally my philosophy with the garage now. Going way back, the car I'm currently trying to buy, and I definitely didn't regret selling it at the time, but with hindsight, is that I want to get my first car back. So I know where it is, and I'm trying to buy it. A Renault Clio, nothing special at all, but just because that was the first car to ever drive, the first road trip I ever did, the first time I lived abroad with a car. So it's a different kind of regret, but I'd like that back.
So some years ago, I did a reg search on my first car, and it's written off.
No.
It's gone. Yeah, it's binned. Yeah. So I can't do that one, which makes me sad as well, actually.
Seb, how about you? Do you miss the Lotus?
I miss the Exige.
Is it the black one? That's got some memories.
Too soon.
I don't
Too
miss that
soon,
one. I
Paul.
almost died in that car.
No,
I think Seb almost died in that car.
No, I'd say the red and gold Exige, just because that was my first ever new car. Spec'd it, had a one-off spec on it, and that was the first car we ever did. Well, that I took my car on one of our real big road trips all together. And yeah, no, I've got so many memories of that car, first brand new car, and I spec'd it from new. So that would be the one that I would go back and consider buying again for sure.
Yeah, I don't regret selling a car. I miss the F-Type, but I don't regret selling it. Paul, how about you? Do you regret selling anything?
When's this video going live?
Tomorrow.
I'm currently mid-filming what supercar do I regret selling the most.
Let's come back to that later then. Tune in to Supercars of London.
So it's the Audi A1.
Oh, what a supercar. Okay, so next question, which is actually quite an easy one, but I don't know, I guess people don't know. How old are we all? So I'm 30, going to be 31 in August, don't miss it out. James, how old are you these days?
I just turned 34, April 14th. Yeah, what's that all about? Don't like hearing those words come out of my mouth, but I'm trying to stay young by playing video games at the minute. Stay on
That
Gran
worked well for us,
Turismo.
didn't it? It's not like it took us 15 times to get the lobby set up. Tim, how old are you?
Right between you guys, 32.
32, Paul
29.
and Sebastian.
16.
23. I can hear someone coming already.
How old are you now, Seb?
I'm 23. 23 years old.
You're not. Get out of the lobby, bro. 23. What?
He's going to be staying awake past 11 p.m. I can't bear it. And then this one I quite like is our final question to round things off. I've started calling us the OG YouTubers. I'm not really sure if that fits because none of us are original gangsters, but we are, at least in my mind, originals. We got a question saying if we were a boy band, what would our name be and who would the front man be? I'm immediately just going to say James because let's face it, I don't think any of the rest of us should be on the front cover of an album. So James can be the front man. But what on earth would we call ourselves?
Can I answer this question?
Go on.
Paul's thought about this.
Because no.
The Bieber lovers.
The Beliebers? No. Because we actually took a boy band photo in Abu Dhabi, if you remember, without James.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you just missing the front man. That's all it was.
No, we had a front man. It was Trey Songs. I mean, that's a pretty...
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's
I
a pretty
still
good
don't know
man
who that
to
guy
have.
is. I think you made him up.
In terms of names for this boy band, I think it depends on the genre of music that we'll be creating, so we should probably answer that question first, and I can see this video getting
The
very long.
uploaders.
And maybe on that cringeworthy note that shows our age, Guys, we're gonna call it a day. It's been a fun way to do what we probably would have been doing this time of year if life wasn't quite so crazy. So I appreciate you taking the time and connecting virtually like we're all having to do right now. I'm not gonna say let's jump back on the game and keep playing because I don't think that's a good idea. So instead, I'm gonna
turning it on.
Yeah, stare at pictures of past road trips and wish you all to stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside. Seb, hopefully we'll see you soon, mate. Don't know what's going on
Yeah,
now.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Hope to the UK soon.
All of us, really.
Yeah, well, everyone. Well, North Coast 500 and the drive.
So favouritism to Seb now that you've slagged him off the
No,
entire video.
because he feels far away. He feels far away. So I was just, that's all. So yeah, hopefully you'll see us all again soon on a big road trip, doing another one of these Q&As and all hanging out. Thank you all again for taking part, and I'll catch up with you all very, very soon.